Hi, I'm Ron Tompkins with Turnaround Executive Coaching. I want to add some ideas to the article that I wrote on cash reserve, or as I call it, core capital target. And I find this a very frustrating thing for many EDs because the literature says, you read articles and it says you got to have cash, and of course we know you do. And then when they go to how much cash do you need, some people say 3 months, somebody said 6 months of operations. Well, many nonprofits are running too close to the wire to say, oh, I'll just take a half a year of operations and save that up. It's not reasonable. So when Greg Crabtree came along with his formula of 4 elements of core capital target, I liked it. It was measurable. I added 2 more elements because nonprofits are financed separately from for-profits. So what are they? Trade capital is the money that you're waiting for. And we all know a lot about that. Government pays late. So while government is paying late, you got to have the cash on hand to pay those bills that keep happening, whether the government pays or not. I can remember in one nonprofit that I led, the government AR got up to $1 million, and this causes some nonprofits to fail. So it's maybe a big number for you, but it's serious. But you can subtract the money that you owe vendors or paying rent late or whatever else you're doing, because trade capital is accounts receivable, money that's owed to you, minus the money that you haven't paid to somebody that you owe. The next one is infrastructure, and we usually see that listed in the income statement just as depreciation. And somebody at a board meeting is going to say, well, depreciation is not a cash statement, not a cash item. Well, that is certainly true, but on the other hand, when you have to replace that technical equipment, that expensive copier, that floor burnisher, that car, whatever it is you're doing, that's not a non-cash item. So you've got to be saving up some money for infrastructure replacement. And you can use the depreciation total that's on the balance sheet as your target, or some other number that makes sense for your agency, and start saving some money each year to make sure that when something breaks that you really need, you've also already got the financing ready for it. Launch capital. For most of us, we're not operating on big margins, and we cannot reach out and get a lot more donations or grants or contracts. So that slender margin that we have each year called surplus, that becomes the base for launching a new program. Because let's say, even if we did something like, let's launch a new program in the fall for, it's going to be in a public building, so we're not going to be paying any rent, we're not going to be building buildings, we're not going to be providing cars, anything like that. We still have to hire the director ahead of time before the program starts. We may have to buy program supplies and equipment ahead of time. So you need that launch capital so that when you come up with the idea for expanding your agency, you've got some cash there in your launch capital in the bank. Now, of course, 2 that I added were restricted. If somebody gives you a restricted gift and you can't spend the principal, you've got to separate that out and make sure that you don't invade that cash. For-profits typically don't have that requirement. The other thing that nonprofits get into is advance payments. So you're running a program and somebody pays you for a quarter of services, or they pay you for a student's tuition ahead of time, a deposit for the fall maybe. That's not money that you should spend, because you're going to need to spend it a little later when the fall comes. So if you spend it now, then when you get to September, or when you get to when that program needs it, you don't have any cash left. So that's got to be added into the formula. And then I do think that 2 months of payroll is reasonable. It may be very painful for you to hear that, but payroll, it's the most important, urgent, critical piece of your agency. If you don't meet payroll this week, some of your best people are going to start looking for a job. You can't risk that. So now that you've got 6 items and you really can put a specific number for each of the 6 items, you add those together, that becomes your core capital target. And you may look at that number and feel like, wow, this is an impossibly large number. And that's not a bad thing. It gives you a target to start working for. It's something that you can work on with the board of directors. And invite their participation and support from it because it's specific. It's not like we need more cash. Well, of course, everybody would like more cash. Now you have a specific need. You've got evidence behind your documentation so that you can really do this. And you're going to be happily surprised as you see period after period, year after year, your core capital target, you're getting closer or you're exceeding it. Thanks so much. And hopefully as you see value on my website, I'm always available for coaching or workshops. Thanks.